Okay, thank you very much for the introduction and for possibility to share some my experiences that I'm gathering since already 4 years due to coordination of two international transcontinental to say truth projects financed by European Commission within the framework of Marii Skłodowska-Curie Actions Research and Innovation Staff Exchange. Within this project, I'm working in field of art and art education and visual communication with the also countries from Africa, not only with African countries, also with Italy, with the Czech Republic and Great Britain. But our partner from so-called third countries now is Kenya in both projects, and we were also cooperating with the Republic of South Africa. And I would like here to show the importance of art in different way that we are accustomed in Western countries or of countries of global North. Focusing on Africa because there appears another level of meaning of art in everyday life that can contribute to the development of everyday aesthetics. Generally, aesthetics of everyday life is oriented towards surpassing this Western notion of aesthetics focus on art, but on art mostly understood as art for art's sake. That is just thinking, focusing on aesthetic qualities found in disinterested contemplation and so forth. And it encompasses this aesthetics of everyday life, different aesthetic experiences which are found in everyday environment when we move around. It is important because aesthetic qualities have got social meaning, so because of different cultural, social and economic groups have got access to different kind of sensual experiences. Here, I, of course, refer and base myself on the understanding of aesthetics that was created by Alexander Baumgarten with the aesthesis, the sensual experience and knowledge gained through sensual experience, and how it is now also developed by Arnold Berland when he's talking about also, not only positive but also negative aesthetics, thinking about different kind of sensual experiences that are accessible to different kind of people or different kind of social groups, economics groups. These aesthetics experiences are not just visual. We are not talking only about visual qualities, but about different kind of qualities. Because these experiences can be gustatory, olfactory, different, and they are different in different contexts. Mostly, they are analyzed in Western thought and in Asian aesthetics. That is well understandable, but I think that is also interesting to shed the light on art and aesthetics in everyday life in Africa, because the relation that art and art craft and also kind of traditional practices have with the rest of social and cultural network are different than in developed countries. The art practice in many countries in Africa is a vocation and a job. And it is not really much differentiated from other jobs and is often without much prestige. of course, here it is a kind of generalization, because it is always good to focus on a country which we are thinking about. Africa is a vast continent, and just thinking that Mauritanian, for example, a Mauritanian experience is the same as Nigerian is completely wrong. But generally, it is quite often that being an artist is not something very special. For example, I can share the experience that when I was for the first time in Kenya, and I was asking my colleagues to find me an artist in the nearby. I was close to Mombasa, in the Mombasa region. I was introduced to a person who, yes, is painting, but is also painting paintings and painting signs on the bathrooms, ladies and gents. So there is not always very explicit border or distinction between this what is art craft, this what is art. Although I will go later into more specific divisions. That art is not always having much prestige. I will focus now on Kenya. Is also combined with a speedy technological development, because the modernization and the importance of this of capitalism is bringing together a certain disregard for the cultural heritage that is thought to be backward, that is something that should be abandoned for better, more modern technological future. And this disregard for cultural heritage goes hand in hand with a certain disregard for art, at least sometimes, that is tried to be levered up. So this is very interesting that I have noticed that is not present in Western countries, that levering the status of artists can have really important social impact, because it can lift part of people out of poverty directly and can support the continuity of the culture. Of course, the historical changes and the changes in the culture are unnecessary, are obvious, but the culture shouldn't be just put on a side when we think about the technology, modernity, and money. And this levering up from the poverty can be seen also when, for example, you have got artists that are painting the walls in the towns with commercial paintings. I will show some examples in a while, that they really love to do it. They are painting in the whole town because this is their vocation. Yes, but they also earn some money, but very little money. Very little money, because it is not really regarded as a serious kind of job. You know, they like to paint. Okay, so they have to eat something, but why they should earn much? Here I think that it is good to mention a typology of art that is existing in Africa since 1935, according to Jan van Sina. He's talking about traditional art that is linked to village life and rituals, then tourist art, which is followed by the which follows the growth of tourism and is characterized by exotic themes that are executed for foreign patrons. So this is the art that tourists are buying. You can sometimes also call it airport art. It is combined with this kind of art, but it's not only this kind. So airport art, rather, that can be considered as subcategory of tourist art. Then we have popular art, but this popular art is not the same as we think about popular culture in Western societies. This kind of art is something that we come across when walking through the towns, when walking through the cities and villages, and it consists mostly of murals and sign paintings. And then at the fourth, we have got this academic art. This is what we consider more like art for art's sake. Although it is not exactly art for art's sake in the African context, this kind of art hardly exists. But this academic art is closer to our form of understanding of art in aesthetic dimension. And it is established through academic institutions. And it is using a lot Western tradition. It is referring broadly to Western tradition. So I would like now to pass through these photo categories and add one more at the end, but also problematizing at least sometimes these types of art. Usually when we think about this traditional art in Africa, we are thinking about different kind of artifacts that are to be found in different countries, that are used in different rituals, and here this difference between the art craft and the art is of course not very exact. This what I'm showing here on the photo, I think that is very interesting example to tell you about. This is Alan Donovan's house, African Heritage, Nairobi Pan-African Gallery, that was founded by Joe Murumbi, a former president of Kenya, his wife Sheila, and Alan Donovan, an American designer. And this is wonderful, really astonishing house full of traditional art from all over the Africa. And it is, this art from all over the Africa, from different countries, from east to west, from north to south, is not really divided, is not contextualized. It is, there is no division based on countries, regions, practices, and they are rather, all these objects are used as a kind of exotic decoration, you can say. For example, here on the photo, in the middle on the right, you can see Vitonga, this wooden figures that are symbolizing the dead ancestors that were usually put in huts, and people were praying to them, considering that they carry the spirits of dead ancestors. But this is completely without context, not even the saying, not even the writing, you know, it is just a beautiful thing somewhere between other jars and bracelets and other kind of stuff. This is not done without any consideration. This is based on the idea of Pan-Africanism that was popular in 1960s. So here I would like to just shortly on the margin criticize this idea of Pan-Africanism. Although it is interesting idea and it was effective, socially and politically effective, because it helped many African countries to gain independence. This happened mostly in many countries in the 60s. This idea of Pan-Africanism was developed and advocated by scholars mostly of Marxist origin, that were referring to Africans in the analog way as to proletarians, that they should unite, find their common goal, and emancipate themselves. So, and the idea was to abandon these tribal African identities because they are bringing too many wars. So it was showing the benefits of defining Africa in general terms through race and history of the continent, thinking that it will bring better future. And of course, it is interesting, and this idea of Pan-Africanism may be appealing, but in a way it is a blind alley, as Fanon is also showing, because it is overlooking local histories, contexts, and identities. For Europeans, it is very easy to look on Africa as just one continent. But if we think here, Egypt, then Nigeria, then South Africa, and telling that, they are all the same, it would be to say like Italians and Norwegians and Belarus people are the same. Yes, we have got common things, but just to put everybody to one bag, it is too big generalization, which brings to overlooking local histories, contexts, and identities. But still with the traditional art, when we think about Kenya, here it is Kenya. I am also dancing here with these ladies. Is this that traditional art was created in community and is usually not focused on like paintings, drawings, on this what we think about as visual arts, but it is rather focused on dance, music, storytelling, and craft. And this is also interesting. Here I have not much time to develop this path further, but implementation of Western academic art, let's say, is overlooking this tradition that should not be just put aside, but could be very interestingly developed into contemporary art. Because we can, for example, quite easily think how to pass from dance, music, storytelling, and art craft to video performances, to installations, to happenings, to many different modern ways of art expression that not necessarily has to be painting. So I think, and I advocate, especially in this second project that I'm coordinating now, that we should create a kind of continuity between the traditional art and contemporary art, not only just trying to repeat Western history in art, because here we have got different history, different environment, different culture, different body sensibility. Just on the margin, I would like to mention what this place is, because it is a very interesting place. It is Kayagodoma, Rescue Center for Elders, because many elders are accused of witchcraft due to economic reasons. Grandchildren accuse their grandparents that are taking care of pieces of sacred land because they want to kill them and to sell the land, to sell kayas to developers, for example. So there is a rescue center that has already rescued in the last 12 years around 100 elders. And I'm dancing here with ladies, although most of the witches or persons accused to be witches are men. So now passing to tourist arts. Here I'm not showing all these art craft that one can find on the markets or in the on the airports, but showing I think very interesting, very nice. You can say it also beautiful in a way, good, well painted painting in the hotel. Because many artists are realizing decorations with a really high technical expertise in hotels that are dedicated, of course, to Western tourists. They usually represent African animals, safari scenes, and so forth. It is also interesting to mention that the price of the painting is defining its quality. And it doesn't mean that if you pay more, you pay to the better artist. It means that the same artist, for better price, will paint you better. Because he or she will buy better paints and will dedicate more time if he or she is paid better. And the popular art is expressed in so many different ways, but covering generally all the walls in the towns. Here it is Malindi in Kilifi County. Malindi is around 80 kilometers north from Mombasa, where Vasco da Gama was on the land negotiating with the Sultan. And generally there are no posters, not many commercials in Western way, not billboards. Billboards you can find mostly in cities like Nairobi or Mombasa, but in all other towns you have got painted signs for shops and homes of local people. The language of this painting is elementary, but effective in communicating the message. It is also interesting to see that they are very often dedicated to illiterate people, because yes, Africans can read, but maybe not that well, and it is much easier to maybe not all Africans, but in small towns. Sorry, I didn't want to be rude here about it. I have got great academic friends, but in towns there are many people who just prefer to watch on the image that is communicating directly. So you just have a glance at the wall of the shop, and you see what you can buy there. You can buy the suitcases, pots, bikes, chairs, textiles, school uniforms, and so forth. This is not really graffiti in our understanding of the word. Graffiti is not well received, being referred rather to kind of criminal or semi-criminal activity. But these are murals. And these murals, of course, are also ephemeral. They appear and disappear depending on the rapid change of destination of some spaces, because there can be later another shop installed. But here on the left side, you see also the photo. It is a detail of the wall you see on the right. It is art by Ali. So it is considered first art, then it requires signature, and then you have got also the telephone number. So you can call the artist and ask him, in this case, to paint your house or your shop. And here you have got just two examples randomly chosen by me from the big album, the biggest I have found in Kenya, Visual Voices, the work of over 50 contemporary artists in Kenya, edited by Susan Vakhungu Gihuku in 2017. So these are photos of famous popular artists now. Beatrice Vangu Njoroge, Quintessence of Loneliness on the left, 2012, and Antonio Kello, Masquerade from 2013. And this, what I wanted here to show is the kind of, for example, references you can find immediately here. If you look on the photo of Beatrice Njoroge, you see exactly, you don't have to read about it, that she is inspired by, for example, Basquiat, and it is truth. And in Antonio Kello Masquerade, it is also quite obvious, you know, these images are speaking directly that it is about race identity, that it is questioning it, because even in academic art, artists don't want usually to create art for art's sake, as I said it, but want to deeper our knowledge, consciousness, sensibility, to entertain us, to do something. It is not, the art is not just for art, it has got some other purposes. Although when Kenyans are painting, the references to Western art are quite often, although they not always have got academic degrees. So it is academic art. It enters into this category, and it is taught at the institutions. But the best artists usually have no PhDs or quite rarely MAs, master degrees, and are usually trained by international fellowship and research studies. And here I wanted to add one more kind of socially important art. This is also a mural, but it's not a commercial mural. It is a mural with a educational purpose that is painted on the Mnarani Prize School, on the secondary school in Mnarani. And first I will tell you what it is about, because it might be your clothes. You should rub them and go to the police station. And this is just a piece. So these are, you know, in place of the leaflets, what to do in case you have got this kind of education shirt on the school walls. So so again, and here it is also important to add that Castro, who painted this image, he's painting also this kind of tourist art. He's painting academic art. He is really one of the most important in the Mombasa region contemporary painters. But he, a part of painting, selling, and educating students, he also considers it very important to spread education between children. Also here I just want to add very shortly, because when I started doing presentation, then I found that I can be talking about these subjects for hours. But I entered also in contact with West African countries where they have got very great need for developing visual literacy and art education and creative skills. And maybe here I stay with this, because in with the climate changes, with the deforestation, the traditional means of earning the living are changing. And they understand that in order to enter into international contact, to earn a living, it is important to develop visual literacy, develop creativity, also for the sake of biodiversity and climate change. So just I'm finishing. I see that it's already the time. So this is on the basis of the two projects, and these two projects I'm coordinating, and the third that is in process. The first is Technologies of Imaging in Communication, Art and Social Sciences, TICAS. It is since 2017. And the second, Transcultural Perspectives in Art and Art Education, that has started in February this year, 2020. And this third one, something that I'm involved in preparation, Culture and Arts for Conservation and Environment for Promotion of Visual Literacy and Art Education on Conservation and Biodiversity for young people in primary and secondary school across West Africa. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Aleksandra. Okay, we are back. Sorry, you already fulfilled your time, but if there are any short questions, we maybe have time for 2 questions, and then we will end a little bit later, because after this session there is only the pause for a lunch. I think this presentation was really interesting. I have a lot of a lot of notes, but feel free to ask any question, Aleksandra, and then we will continue. Please, Carolina.
Thank you, Aleksandra, for your talk. Can you hear me? Is the sound right? Okay. So I was wondering, on your last slide, you wrote about visual literacy or something like that. Can you please tell a little bit more about what do you mean by this term?
Okay, thank you. Here there was not much time for this. Visual literacy is the kind of literacy that is in the last decades more and more developed in education and pedagogy, because we are not communicating only by means of language and text, but also by means of images. And it is not only about receiving the images and having aesthetic experience about them. It is about understanding them and about creating messages. It is important, you know, in order to be visually literate, we not only have to understand images, but we have to know how to create images in order to communicate this, what we want to communicate. And here it is also important then the cultural dimension, because we are quite often used to the idea that images, one image speaks for 1,000 words, and of course it is so, but they are not understood in the same way in all the cultures, in all societies. Colors has got different meanings, you know, symbols have got different meanings, and in order to communicate effectively, we have to learn more about communicating by means of images, not just to consume them as they are coming, but critically approach and create effective visual communicates.
Thank you.
Okay, and here is Elisabetta Di Stefano, please.
Thank you. I'm interested in the same points. First of all, I agree. So I'm very interested in your topic, because I think that the modern concept of art is too limited. And it's important to extend the idea of art, including what you talked today. But I don't understand visual literacy. I don't understand if visual literacy is a tool of, in which countries it's a tool for children.
Okay, visual literacy is the concept introduced by John Debes in 1969. And I can, for example, read you here a quote. Visual literacy refers to a group of vision competencies a human being can develop by seeing and at the same time having and integrating other sensory experiences. The development of these competencies is fundamental to normal human learning. When developed, they enable a visually literate person to discriminate and interpret the visual actions, objects, symbols, natural or man-made, that he encounters in his environment. Through this creative use of these competencies, he is able to communicate with others. Through the appreciative use of these competencies, he is able to comprehend and enjoy masterworks of visual communication. And this is something that I am developing with also with Italian colleagues from University of Macerata, especially Professor Rosita De Luigi and Flavia Stara. They are one is philosopher in pedagogy, and the other is a professor in pedagogy, and the other a professor in philosophy of education. In the trend of John Dewey too.
Yes.
And we are developing also in cooperation with the Czech colleagues from Ústí nad Labem courses for visual literacy, and the book with some exemplary classes and with recommendations will be published soon. It is already prepared as a deliverable, and Italian colleagues are now editing for a book. So it should be just within, I don't know, a few months, maybe 2 or 3, accessible. Because yes, we were referring to the literature. We were practicing in all the countries involved in this first TICAS project, having different groups of school children, youth, students, and adults. And in Kenya, in Poland, in Czech Republic, in Italy, and Great Britain, gathering the experiences and interpreting it. So this is the field that is still not completely developed. It is recognized the importance of visual literacy, but how to teach it? It is also different in different countries, because, for example, when we Rosita, that is doing a lot of work with the children, when she works with Italian children, she can work with images and books and stories with children of 3, 4, 5 years, and the same content was accessible for children in Kenya, in villages, when they were like 12, 13, 14, you know, because sometimes you give a paper and it is the first time, you know, that they see the clean paper, and they can be asked to create something. And usually, you know, it is about also creation, because, for example, a lot of children in Kenya generally are taught something that is supposed to be useful. They are trained to a certain kind of job. And it is not important to develop their creativity. So they are not taught to think up, create something, you know, imagine. So here you have to contextualize, but this is very important if we want to have a creative country, creative people, you know, well developed, not just serving to others.
Thank you very much. Very interesting.
Okay, thank you, Aleksandra. Thank you, Elisabetta. We have 2 more questions, third one, but sorry, we have only time for 1 answer. And Michaela Pashtekova was first one, so I will just read the part of the question. She would like to ask, what is the position of theory of art, or the position of traditions of art in Africa, or maybe especially in Kenya? What kind of theoretical reflection of the special position of art is present the work of African theoreticians? This is the last questions, and I will ask another guys, please write maybe Aleksandra email with the question to this presentation, because we need to continue. Please, Aleksandra, answer.
Okay, thank you, Michaela, for this question. This question has to be contextualized to the countries. For example, in South Africa, there are a lot of African theorists writing about the art in the post-colonial context. They are decolonizing images. This is the most important task that they are trying to do. And for example, after the period of the construction of the stereotypes, now they are thinking about the haunting of the colonial past in the bodies. So they are reworking it. So it is something very interesting and very broad. But in Kenya, it is different. In Kenya, there is also the history is different, you know, of the country, and it matters. And the art is different. The art is not that modern, I would say, as in the Republic of South Africa. It's more eclectic, and it is working a lot without identity, emotions, sensibility. It is about the beauty. Here you cannot find much written that deeply as in South Africa. For example, this book I have just shown 2 photos from, it is just individual collection of the one gallery owner. That she has chosen her favorite paintings, and it is the biggest album. The biggest album. The first that I have found, that was in Diani Beach Art Gallery, and it is just a diary, a calendar, because it is hard to think that you can buy an album with art, just with art, that has no other purpose. So, so this is very broad subject, and thank you for bringing it forth, but each time you have to contextualize it. I have written something about the art in South Africa, and now I'm writing on art in Kenya. This is still in process. If you write me, I can share with you some more information, names, and so forth.
Okay. Thanks again, Aleksandra. Thanks again for all the questions and the answers. Thank you again.